more than a month since they were at Marseille, and the camp of the Armenian refugees on the outskirts of town already looked like a small village. They had settled down in any way they could, the richest under tents, the others in ruined sheds, but the majority of the refugees, having found nothing better, were sheltered under carpets held up by four corners and sticks. They thought themselves lucky if they could find the sheets to hang up at the sides of the walls to keep them from peering eyes. Then they felt almost at home. The men found work, no matter what, so that in any case they were not racked with hunger, and their children had something to eat. Of all of them, Mikhail alone could do nothing. He ate the bread which the neighbors cared to offer, and it weighed on him, for he was a big lad of 14, healthy and robust. But how could he think of looking for work when he literally bore on his back the burden of a newborn babe? Since its birth, which had caused his mother's death, it had wailed in famine from morn till night. Who would have accepted Mikhail's services when his own compatriots had chased him from their quarters because they were unable to bear the uninterrupted howls which kept them awake at night? Mikhail himself was dazed by these cries. His head was empty, and he wandered about like a lost soul, dying from lack of sleep and weariness, always dragging about him the deafening burden that had been borne for his misfortune and his own, and that was so badly chosen at the moment to appear on this earth. Everyone listened to it with irritation. They had so many troubles of their own, and they all pitifully wished it would die. But that it did not happen, for the newborn child had sought desperately to live and cry louder its famine. The distracted woman stuffed their ears, and Mikhail went hither and yon like a drunken man. He hadn't a penny in his pocket to buy the infant milk. Not one woman in the camp was in a position to give it breast, enough to drive one mad. One day, unable to bear it further, Mikhail went to the other side of the place where the Anatolians were. They had also fled from the Turkish massacre in the Asian Minor. Mikhail had been told that there was a nursing mother who might take pity on this baby, so he went there full of hope. Their camp was like his, the same in misery. Old women were crouched on pallets on the ground, barefoot. Children played in the pools of dirty water. As he approached, several old women rose to ask what he wanted, but he walked on and stopped only at the opening of a tent where the icon of the Holy Virgin was hanging. From the interior of the tent came a sound of a wailing infant. "In the name of most Holy Virgin, whose icon you show," he said in Greek, "have pity on this poor orphan and give him a little milk. I'm a poor Armenian." At this appeal, the lovely, dark woman appeared. She held in her arms an infant blissfully sucking at the maternal breast, its eyes half closed. "Let's see the kid. Is it a boy or a girl?" Mikhail's heart trembled with joy. Several neighbors had come closer to see, and they helped him to take from his shoulder the sack where the baby brother was held. With curiosity, he leaned over. He drew back the cover. The woman gave vent to various cries of horror. The child had no longer anything human about it. It was a monster. The head had become enormous, and the body of incredible thinness, and it was all shriveled up, and until it had sucked only its thumb, it was ill, swollen, and could hardly no longer enter its mouth. It was dreadful to see. Mikhail himself drew back and cried. "Holy Mother," said one of the mothers, "it's a vampire, a real vampire, that child. Even if I had milk, I wouldn't give it to have the courage to feed it." "A true Antichrist," said another, crossing herself. "A true son of the Turk." An old crone came up. "Ho, ho!" she screamed, seeing the newborn child. "It's the devil himself!" Then turning to Mikhail, she yelled, "Get out of here, you son of a mischance, and never set foot again. You bring us bad luck." And all of them together chased away, threatening. His eyes filled with tears. He went on, bearing the little child, still waiting with hunger. There was nothing to be done. The child was condemned to die of hunger. Mikhail felt himself immensely alone and lost. A chill ran up his spine at the thought that he was carrying such a monster. He slumped down in the shadow of the shed. It was still very warm. The country spread out before him in a arid wasteland covered with the refuse. Noon rang out somewhere. The sound reminded him that he had eaten nothing since the day before. He would have to go sneaking into the street, round cafe currencies, fetching some half-eaten roll left on a plate, or else rake through the garbage for what a dog would not have eaten. Suddenly, life seemed to him so full of horrors that he covered his face with his hands and began to sob desperately. When he raised his head up, a man stood before him, gazing down upon him. Macaulay recognized the Chinaman who had often come to the camp to sell papers, knickknacks, and charms, which no one had brought back from him anyway. Often they mocked him because of his color and his squint eyes, and the children hounded him, shouting, "Link, Link, the stinking chink!" Macaulay saw that he was looking gently down on him and moving his lips as though to speak. Finally, the Chinaman said, "You mustn't cry, my boy." Then Timmy said, "Come with me." Macaulay's only answer was to shake his head negatively. He longed to flee. He had heard of the horrors of this cruelty of the Orientals. At the camp, they went so far as to say they had a habit, like the Jews, of stealing children, Christian children, in order to kill them and drink their blood. Yet the man remained there and did not budge. So, being in great distress, Macaulay followed him. What more awful things had happened to him? As they walked along, he stumbled weakly and almost fell with the child. The Chinaman came to him and, taking the baby in his arms, tenderly pressed it to him. They crossed several empty lots and came back to the man, came to a little lane that led to a sort of wooden cabin surrounded by a very small garden. He stopped before the door and clapped his hands twice. A few light steps inside, the kind person came to the door. Seeing him in, her face reddened, and then a happy smile lit it up. She made a brief courtesy to them. As Macaulay remained there, hesitatingly, routed to the threshold, the Chinaman said to him, "Come in. Then do not be afraid. This is my wife." Macaulay went into the room, rather large it seemed, separated in the middle by a colored paper screen. It was also clean and neat, though very poor looking. In the corner, he noticed a wicker cradle. "That is my baby," said the young woman, cocking her head gently to one side and smiling at him. "He is very thin and very beautiful. Come and see." Macaulay went up closer and silently admired it. A chubby baby, but lately out of the darkness of the maternal body, slept peacefully, covered with a good gold brocade cloth like a little king. Then the husband called his wife over, bade her sit with a straw mat, and without a word sat down upon her lap. The little famished one bowed deeply before her. The woman leaned over and, with astonishment, and drew back the covering which the child was wrapped. It appeared to her like a skeleton horror. She gave a cry of immense pity, then pressed the baby to her heart, giving it the breast. Then, with a gesture of modesty, she brought forward a flap of the robe over the milk-swollen breast and the poor, gluttonous infant suckling there.
Okay, y'all ready to go?